talk about the business of food. And right now we are focusing our efforts on talking about how the restaurant industry and the food industry as a whole are being impacted by the coronavirus. And I am your host, Intoxicate Kate Schlientz. I am happy to be with you, and I am happy to be kind of bridging that gap between the consumer and those in the restaurant industry, and hoping we can kind of have better conversations moving forward, and of course during this epidemic. My guest today is one of my favorite people on the planet. It is Ellen Sledge of Penny Lick Ice Cream, who is pretty much 100% fueling the positivity in the Schlientz household right now, because we are just diving into your ice cream every evening. So how are you?
I'm good. I work nonstop these days, and I guess that's a wonderful distraction.
Yeah, I would say so. And I want to dive into that a little bit, because you and I have had countless conversations about this offline and a little bit of it online. And I want to kind of give or shed light on the amount of work you were doing before all of this kind of went down and happened, and then what the numbers looked like versus what the current landscape is kind of offering up.
Yeah, I'm happy to dive into that. I can at least give you percentages. Penny Lick, the retail business, Penny Lick is totally 7 years old. The store that I'm sitting in right now in Hastings-on-Hudson is 5 years old. I actually renewed the lease right before this. And I'm glad I did. I don't think we're going anywhere. Since the store started, our revenues on the retail side of the business increased between 18 and 26% every year for 5 years. We were on track to have a really spectacular 2020. The retail side of my business includes this store, but not just this store. It includes a handful of push carts that we've had for 7 years now. And they go to festivals and venues and weddings and birthday parties. So catering, mobile vending, also all the classes and birthday parties and events we held in the store are all fold together into the Penny Lick Ice Cream Company retail revenues. And based on contracts that we had, we were anticipating 25% retail growth over 2019 for this year, prior to COVID-19. Obviously, that's changed drastically. We still have the storefront, but all catering is off the table. All festivals, all events we have straight through September have been canceled. We have a few outliers in October we haven't heard back on yet. And there are a couple of maybes in July that I personally don't see happening, but my schedule is clear for them if they do. All the birthday parties are gone, all the classes are gone, and consequently the staff are mostly gone too, at least temporarily. It's my plan to put them right back here as soon as the business model can support it, but currently on the retail side, the business model can't. Anticipating a minor catastrophe at the end of February, I did a few things. I mean, first of all, I bought a ton of gloves and a ton of sanitizer. I bought everything I saw. But then we started signing up with third-party delivery apps. We used a few of them. They haven't been reliable, and they do take on average 30% of the gross, which is hard. Now, it's harder when what you're selling is a pint of ice cream as opposed to like a lobster dinner. You have less wiggle room in that. So we moved to a truncated model. The store is open 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. We do a very limited menu. We do pints of ice cream. We have our push pops and our fudgesicles. We do not do milkshakes. Part of the reason we don't is because if you know anything about running an ice cream business, milkshakes can get kind of messy, and we're trying to keep as sanitary an environment as possible. The other part of the reason is I'm not reliably getting milk deliveries. It breaks my heart to see video and photos of farmers upstate dumping milk. I can't get it down here to save my life. It's really hard to get large quantities of milk, and I'm an ice cream store and an ice cream manufacturer. We don't do cones at the moment because I have to get a little too close to you to give you a cone. And when you read about the science of it and whether or not things need to be cooked and how things have to be handed, it's a logistical nightmare. So we're scooping cups, and we do pints, and we do fudgesicles. Our pint business has taken off. We are selling this month, we will sell 8 times our best month in just a number of pints. That's amazing, but it doesn't actually make up for the long lines, you know, the soccer teams that come in here after they won the game or lost the game. Ice cream is comforting as well as celebratory. It doesn't quite make up for the lost revenues of, say, our carts regularly at the New York Botanical Gardens. Making it work. And our revenues for April 2020 will be about, if I'm really lucky, by the end of the day today, I'm talking to you on April 30th, it would be, we'd be at about 70% of April 2019. But I'm killing myself doing those numbers. I have somebody in our wholesale factory. We have very few active wholesale accounts making our ice cream. I've also taken some ingredients and made ice cream. I started making gelato here in the shop. I've been doing custom birthday cakes. I do need a few days notice for them, but I do them. So I spend a few hours a day making ice cream. I spend a 3-hour window every day delivering ice cream, whether it's wholesale or retail. Those third-party apps, they haven't worked out great for us because very often the delivery folks don't show up. And when the delivery folks don't show up, the customer doesn't call Uber and complain. They call us, and then I have no choice but to go deliver it. And I'm still giving Uber 30% off the top. We had that happen to us enough that I don't reliably use third-party apps anymore. That happened to us twice with DoorDash, 3 times with Uber Eats. It's nonsensical at this point. So I deliver a few hours a day. I make ice cream a few hours a day. I operate the store a few hours a day. The other thing I dive into right now is customer outreach. I bought all these tote bags. I really wanted to buy cooler bags for the spring and the summer, and they are back ordered forever. I think everybody and his brother bought cooler bags. So I bought like shopper totes that are reusable with our name on it. And I bought postcards with our photography, because we have some great photography on one side, and then on the other side, like 3 statements about who we are, our mission, and then like a heartfelt thank you that I personally sign. And then I kind of just dive deep into building new customer relationships. In a weird way, it feels like I started my business all over again. This feels like a complete reset. And I think it needs to be, because I don't anticipate those big event revenues happening not just in 2020, but in 2021. And I have to be very careful about that too. Ice cream is seasonal. Even on the wholesale side, ice cream can be really rather seasonal. Our dry period, the period where we make the least amount of revenues per month, would be December, January, February, that quarter. Mm-hmm. And we use the rest of the year to stockpile, as any seasonal business would, to cover ourselves during those dry months. I'm not stockpiling anymore. So it's hard to bring staff back. It's hard to do a lot of new development. It's hard to pay a lot of bills. It's hard to go forward. We are still going forward, and I think we'll be here on the other side of this, but we're gonna have to be very, very creative about what comes next.
Well, I think there's a lot that you said there that I want to unpack, because I, of course,
I talk a lot.
I, of course, know a lot of the backstory of what's going on. And I think one of the things I really want to ask you, and I hope you're willing to share this, because this is a more on the emotional side of things. I have watched you grow exponentially since the day I met you, found out about your brand, saw you at the farmer's market with the push carts. You know, now you have your brick and mortar shop, you have a wholesale business. You said, you know, you were on track for, I think it was 25% growth this year.
Yeah.
This is something that is officially stopped you in your tracks. As an entrepreneur, a small business owner, have you had time to kind of let that set in, and how does that make you feel?
So yeah, I've had plenty of time to grieve. I can't say the word. I actually get a little choked up just thinking about it. In mid-March, I came down with the fever and the cough and terrible body aches and the worst headache of nearly my life. I say nearly my life because I did have a minor aneurysm once. I was quarantined, and my family was quarantined for 2 weeks. And the first 3 days of me being sick, we had like, I think it was about $18,000 in events cancel. Like, it was like a lot all at once. So I'm home, I'm feverish, I feel like shit. Pardon my language, I'm sorry. My doctor is like, you cannot come in here. The state hotline is saying to me, you have a presumptive COVID case. We cannot give you a test because you're not a priority, because you're not at a health risk and you didn't just come off a cruise ship. So I had a couple of weeks to properly feverishly cry. I got better in a matter of days, but so many people haven't. I let myself properly cry for a little while there about my business and the fear of losing it. But, you know, then I started to sit on Zoom wakes and Zoom shivas. And I watched my friends lose family members. And that's I've seen that a little too much. So I just told myself, this is ice cream. Keep going. And whatever happens, happens. Get crafty. Do your best. It's funny, I didn't really do a ton of events until I opened this store, because this store was supposed to open in like July, and it opened in September because of construction setbacks. And nobody's business dream is to open an ice cream shop after the damn summer. And how do you get through your first winter, that first dry spell? So I loaded up on events, and that has been like my crafty way of keeping our business going and growing and building new customer relationships. I've thought of every event, every chance we got to put our push cart anywhere with our big logo on it, as not just a chance to sell ice cream, but as a chance to build brand new customer relationships. I considered everything really like grassroots marketing, and I loved it. And now I've got to come up with new ways to do that. Celebrations still happen, and ice cream is still celebratory, or it is still comforting, and people still want it. And we've all, like, I guess, shared memes for years, or put out heartfelt speeches or signs that say support your local downtowns, your local small businesses. I've seen people really rally around that now in a way that they haven't before. Everybody gets it. And so I did grieve for a little while there, but now I'm just more in keep going. This is not the end of the world. Loss of life will be the end of the world. This is ice cream. Keep going.
And what is it, that this is what this show is all about? What is it that keeps you going?
Well,
can I just say, I love that immediate reaction of you, like, you know, because we're having this very intense conversation, right, about like the here and now. And then I start asking you about what it is that keeps you going. What is that passion? And this is exactly the response that I want, because I see this all the time. And this is what I want people to see, is that you have all the world falling down around you, right? Like, not really, but you know, in a little bit of a sense in terms of your business. And I ask you this question, and you sit back, immediately relaxed, and start smiling. So tell me, what is it that keeps you going?
I think I'm a pretty social creature, and people, I don't know, I can't figure out how to put like our order form online on our website. I'm sure I can do that. So people have to call in their orders if they want curbside or delivery, and we have like these 10-minute conversations. I'm not talking to everybody. When I deliver ice cream to complete strangers, by the way, and I put a little bag with the Penny Lick logo on their doorstep, and then I ring their doorbell and I run out to the street to my car. They're so excited. They want to talk to me. Like, everybody's so happy to talk to another human being. There's a little boy who comes to my shop all the time. He saw me the other day. He's like, "How you doing? This is terrible, isn't it? Well, when this is over, me and my friend, we're going to go to Turks and Caicos for a couple of weeks and cool down." And his dad's like, "I don't know what he's talking about." Penny Lick, when it was normal, under old normal circumstances, kids would come in and they'd be like, "I did really, really well on my spelling test. My mom said I could have chocolate." And grown-ups come in and they're like, "Oh my goodness, thank goodness you're open." Somebody told me the other day, the fact that there's only a couple of businesses open in Hastings, but one of them is the ice cream shop, is honestly what's getting the whole town through. You know, it feels communal. This is not a restaurant. This is not a farm to table thing. I do not have long tables where everybody can sit down and I can serve up a 6-course meal. We can talk about our lives. But ice cream has always felt very communal. Your small town ice cream shop. I am sure you can say that about every small town ice cream shop in America. I hire a lot of teenagers. I've always hired a lot of teenagers, and there's always a bit of trepidation in them because it's their first job. And they always are like, oh, they get very nervous around customers. And I always tell them the same thing, like, this is the easiest first job because customers are happy coming to the ice cream shop. If they are not happy, when they get their ice cream, they become happy. And if they're still not happy or they're very angry about something, you have the power to give it to them for free. You can just say, "That's on Penny Lick. You enjoy your ice cream." And then they get happy. Ice cream is a happy, joyous thing. I'm still bringing joy. It is somehow classified as an essential. I will take that and run with it. But it's joyful. Everybody knows me. Everybody knows my name. Everybody tells me, "I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad I can buy a pint of ice cream." It makes people feel normal. Ice cream is nostalgic in a way that not every food is. I swear it's why vanilla is always the best-selling flavor in the United States, because you go to the flavor that you loved as a little kid. And as a little kid, you were fussy and you wanted the one that was white. So that's why you like vanilla. There's something very nostalgic and celebratory and comforting about ice cream, and consequently the ice cream shop and the person making and selling the ice cream. I can have a really crappy day, and my grandmother, who is 98, living in the nursing home down the street, can call me because she has dementia and she's crying because she doesn't understand why she's not allowed to go out of her room. And that can be heartbreaking. And then the DPW guys come by to pick up garbage and just ask me how I'm doing. And I give them ice cream. Food is comfort. Food is comfort. And ice cream is, no exception. I don't call myself a chef anymore because this is an ice cream business. I think of myself a little more as a CEO of a tiny ice cream fiefdom. It's comfort. And there's a lot of joy in that.
Agreed. I told you, you're feeling the positivity in my household, because I don't know. I mean, all hell breaks loose when we pull open the freezer and there's no penny like ice cream left. It's like this, and it gets like hangry real quick. And then you're getting texts from me like, where are you? Where can I meet you?
Yeah.
Switching gears, because I know we're talking in this very, positive light right now. But again, there's some really interesting things that you mentioned before that I want to make sure that the general public is just aware of. And one of those things that you mentioned is those third-party platforms like Uber Eats, like Seamless. And I know at the very beginning of this, I received some kind of notification, I don't know which platform that it was, saying that, oh, we're not charging restaurants anything. And I think everybody was like, oh, then we can use these platforms. But the reality of the situation is you are still paying the 30% that you mentioned. They're completely unreliable right now. And I think a lot of that, it has to do with the demand. I don't think there's enough drivers in our area. I think a lot of people don't want anything delivered, so they're all over the place. They're not going to say no to it. They're going to keep going. I greatly appreciate the drivers that are out there, because I'm sure they are doing a huge service for those who cannot go out. But I never was a huge fan of the third-party platforms because of the 30%. And I think people don't realize that you're actually paying more going to these third parties than ordering directly from the restaurant, if that is available.
The commercials that Seamless and DoorDash are running about how we can all support the restaurant industry together make me very angry.
And you say that with a very big smile on your face.
I'm spending a lot of time trying to not focus on the news and the countless things that have made me angry. Like, I still haven't heard on my PPP application, but the Lakers turned back $4.6 million. There's a lot in the news right now that can make you very angry. Those commercials do give me a little bit of rage, because they're not true. And for that matter, sometimes these apps, they're like, oh, and $10 off if you order. That $10 gets charged to the restaurant. Like, we didn't say, let's do that. Like, they're not taking a cut in anything. And Uber Eats had sent an email like a month ago about how now you can offer your own delivery through Uber Eats. You're still paying Uber Eats, but you're delivering it yourself.
No.
So I think that, I do think that going forward, Penny Lake offers a delivery service, and we're going to offer it 6 days a week. And some of my staff are going to become drivers. Depending on your current insurance policy, you may actually be covered in that. And if not, I don't think it costs a lot to add that. But I do think that going forward, we have to include delivery to remain viable. And those apps allow you to do that in a way that then you weren't paying for the staff.
Well, I mean,
30% is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a
lot.
lot. And I know people who have increased their prices just with Uber Eats to cover that.
I did. I increased the cost of a pint by $1.
Yeah.
And then they let you, Uber Eats lets you, in their way of helping the restaurant industry, they let you donate to the restaurant. But they take a cut of that.
Oh,
too.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think they did, because somebody donated $5 to our restaurant, and it looked like I got $4.16 out of the $5. And I was like, what is this?
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I understood the receipt wrong, but it did. Listen, they're out to make money, but all that 30% isn't all going to their drivers. No. They're taking a cut off the top, and I think that I would have been much more supportive of the third party platform if they had found a way to be more supportive of the restaurant industry.
Right.
But because they have used this as an opportunity to stockpile cash, no thanks.
Well, I'll tell everybody what I've done because I know there is value in terms of the marketing. I think people feel that there's value with the marketing because a lot of people go to these sites to see who they can order from.
Right.
And for those who cannot deliver on their own,
right.
It's a great service to have. However, what I like to do is I like to see who is on Uber Eats, and then I call the restaurant directly and see if they have delivery directly through the restaurant, or I find out if I can figure out how to do the curbside pickup efficiently so I'm picking up quickly and getting home quickly, because you know me, I will drive to Mount Kisco from Yonkers and my food will be cold by the time I get home. I'll figure out a way to reheat it, but if I want that pizza from Locali, I'm getting it.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, it's not wonderful. It feels like a necessity, but it feels like it's really something for the restaurants to take into their own control.
Mm-hmm. Now, you also mentioned before that you are having trouble finding milk.
And sometimes I am. Yeah, deliveries in general take considerably longer to schedule. We don't get everything we ordered. It's a little hard. We're competing against a lot of people. I actually am working with a pizza business in Connecticut right now. They take pre-orders for their pizza truck, and then you can buy a pint of ice cream. And he's in Connecticut, but he's going to be in Elmsford tomorrow because somebody was able to get him a case of yeast. There are food shortages. I'm not certain that it has to do with production. I think it has a bit more to do with the supply chain itself. And drivers are sick. There are less drivers than there used to be, or because sales are dropping, they've had to lay staff off, so you don't have as many people delivering, you don't have as many people taking orders, wait times are longer. I just needed milk like a week and change ago. My husband went and got online for me at a restaurant depot because he just needed milk that minute. He waited outside with a lot of people who were not restaurants or food businesses because they've opened the businesses up to regular consumers. By the time he got into Restaurant Depot an hour and a half later, he got the last 3 gallons of milk. 3 gallons for an ice cream business is not useful.
What does that exactly equate to for pints?
Yeah, not a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah. So when you talk about the supply chain, and I think we all read that article in the New York Times, which I believe was put out by the CEO or president of Purdue Chicken, about the food chain, now kind of being broken, or that's what's to come. And you're saying all these brilliant things of reasons why, you think this is happening, that it's not just the production, it's the drivers, are you working with distributors right now to get most of your product in?
Yeah, well, yeah, most of my ingredients come from distributors. They've always come from distributors. If I can't get a distributor or the distributor doesn't have things, I will show up at a Restaurant Depot and see what I can get.
And on average, just because, again, I don't think the general public really has an in on this like I do, how many distributors pre-COVID-19 were you working with?
2.
And now, during COVID-19, have you had to expand and open up and look for more?
I've stuck with those distributors. They just have considerably longer wait times. Mm-hmm. And then the thing that I didn't do was like go to Restaurant Depot because who had the time for that? And now I'll wait online there in the hopes of finding chocolate or Oreos. There's an Oreo shortage. Come on, America, settle down.
There's things that I don't understand. I don't know why the toilet paper flew off the shelves first. I just don't understand that. Oreos, I can kind of imagine. I'm sure everybody just wants Oreo. Like everyone's going for the comfort food at this point.
Right.
But yeah, it's very, very interesting. And I know a lot of distributors have switched their models up because they're not moving product fast enough, to open it up to consumers. Is the food production something, or the food supply something that you're currently nervous about?
Yeah.
And
I honestly have been nervous about that since February. First, I was nervous about getting paperboard products printed. The cups that we use in our store come from an American company but are printed in China, and I'm like, well, that's just not happening. I'm gonna have to find somewhere else to get this, somewhere else to get that. There are some ingredients that come from Italy. We've been in a shortage for years now of vanilla bean, and that drove up prices. That happened because most of the world's vanilla comes from Madagascar, and Madagascar had some problems, including the plague for 2016 and 2017, which just really, really dinged supply. And so I would anticipate, and for that matter, cost of chocolate was going up on the global markets. There were economic crises before this. There were environmental crises before this that were contributing to that. So I just anticipate across the board, everything's going to be tighter to get a hold of. We started making special flavors with what we have in our pantry. What can we do with this? I started making gelatos this week. I literally started a new brand with a new name and a new logo. I started it with paper pints that I had that are white and I hadn't used in 2 years, because gelato has less butter fat. So I make it with milk and not cream. So it's one less ingredient. So it's got a cheaper ingredients cost of goods sold. And it was what I had. I was like, what can I do with these things? Necessity is the mother of invention. My menu is changing rapidly to keep up with what's available. When we do get ingredients, I have a tendency to order a ton. You can freeze dairy. You can just freeze it. We have big walk-in freezers. We can freeze it and then just use it as needed. We can freeze the fruits. We can freeze the chocolate. We can freeze everything. Everything can be frozen and just use it as needed. If it's not necessarily shelf stable. And that's literally what we've been doing. So then we finally get a ton of stuff and then we work through it. And then as soon as we get that ton of stuff, I put in the next order. So I think I'm getting another massive delivery of dairy next Wednesday.
Okay.
It used to be a 48-hour turnaround or even a 24-hour turnaround. Now it's this.
Well, I want to take a step back and also mention that you have a very particular ingredient list because of your model, right? You're very natural. You're trying to use local as much as possible.
And we're peanut and tree nut free too, which means that we have to take extra steps to make sure that anything comes from a factory where they're either using good manufacturing practices or they don't have any peanuts or tree nuts in there to begin with.
So I imagine that makes it more difficult to get the ingredients that you need.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, here's a difficult question. Has the thought crossed your mind that you might have to bend on your rules a little bit because of the lack of food?
Right now, I still prefer regional dairy, and I still get regional dairy. But if I have to start getting dairy from, I don't know, Georgia, I'll take it. That matters less to me. I'm not budging on our allergen policy because that's dangerous. And it's also something that makes us who we are. Penny Lick is special, but it wouldn't be as special if we weren't taking those steps every day in a way that most ice creams in the United States do not. They've always made our business model harder. they have always made ingredients to procure more difficult. But I'm not budging for that. It's not worth budging on that. I can budge. I prefer New York State dairy. I prefer Hudson Valley dairy.
Mm-hmm.
I think the dairy I'm getting next week comes from Connecticut, from I think Latham County, where I'm not Connecticut, Pennsylvania. I'm really tired. Latham County, where honestly all good things come from anyway, so it's fine.
Are you from there?
No.
You're from, I thought that was like a little like
Amish country.
Amish country, okay.
All the things they have are very special and have contributed to my general bottom line.
Mm-hmm. I love that. But that was a great answer. I just want to acknowledge that was a great answer to that question.
No, thanks.
Switching gears, I love you. Switching gears quickly to talking about funding a little bit in a different way with the SBA and the PPP loans. What is your take?
Well, at the risk of using more swear words in this interview, I am first utilizing everything I have at my disposal. Mm-hmm. Certainly put in those applications immediately, like any small business owner in the United States should and probably did. Mm-hmm. But I am using every resource available to me, and that includes my investors. That includes, honestly, my personal tax refunds. That includes, I did take out another loan, a bridge loan from a community lender. It was not at the same rates as the EIDL disaster relief loans, but it was money, so I took it. I applied for PPP. I heard from Chase today that the application is being reviewed. I put in that application the day the applications went live. But that is slow. In the meanwhile, I do work with a community lender in our area, a nonprofit organization called Community Capital in New York. And for you business owners that don't know what a community lender is, community lenders are nonprofit lenders with the mission of keeping up the local economy, keeping people in jobs, helping the job base grow. Community Capital in New York is focused on the lower Hudson Valley and parts of Connecticut. They helped me secure my SBA loan. They helped me get that other bridge loan. And now they are taking from existing clients only a small amount of PPP applications. That is not their wheelhouse. They do not have a big staff, and they have never had more applications or inquiries. If you have to work with an SBA lender and you need to take out an SBA loan at any time, working with a community lender is the best way to do it. It's really strange to me how the banking industry has changed so very quickly. I know people who have put in PPP applications with companies like Cabbage. And Cabbage is something 2 months ago I would have told you to never touch with a 10-foot pole. Cabbage and similar lenders to them that advertise on TV are not technically giving you business loans. They are not quite technically normal banking loans, which are regulated by the federal government. They offer what they call merchant advances. Merchant advances are usually based on your last 3 months and the money that you have in your bank. They run an algorithm. That's why they can turn around a loan in 24 hours. But a merchant advance is not regulated, and they can charge whatever they want. I know a bank lender who said that she saw somebody's loan from one of those merchant advance lenders, and it had a 68% interest rate. And they have repayment penalties if you repay it before the loan ends for as much as an additional 50%. But because these guys have been working with customers as lenders of sorts, they were allowed to take PPP applications. The PPP is going to be regulated, so go on ahead. But the banking industry the way it collapsed in 2008, because it was this Wild West, I'm afraid it's still very much the Wild West. I think that there were regulations, and then the regulations were repealed. It's my husband works in banking. He is a portfolio manager, and his specialty is banking. His specialty is the finance industry. And yeah, I hear a lot of negative things from him about how the games are rigged. I'm in Hastings-on-Hudson, New York. I've lived here since 2008. When I got this store in 2015, so many storefronts were empty. They're all full now. Everything in Hastings was full. Good rents, great businesses, lots of restaurants. A lot of them are not going to come back. And a lot of them still haven't heard from the SBA, from PPP applications. Small businesses, particularly food businesses, do not have the luxury of time. These are cash flow businesses, and they need it sooner than later. The things that make me angry, the thing that makes me angry about the very big businesses and the publicly traded companies that took PPP, gave it back, but took it to begin with, was that not necessarily that those funds won't get redistributed, but that they took time away from businesses that didn't have it. Time, more than ever, is a commodity. You and I are in the food industry in the Hudson Valley. We already know businesses that are filing bankruptcy. There are more than that. It is devastating to me. And honestly, too, Hastings-on-Hudson has two banks, Citibank and Chase. And almost all the small businesses here banked with Citibank and Chase. And almost all the small businesses haven't heard crap from Citibank and Chase. This has made me personally want to pull all of my banking from Chase, and made me want to lobby hard for a regional bank. And the regional banks have done a better job getting out the PPP because they had a smaller client base, and they worked with smaller businesses, and they recognized that their bread and butter is smaller businesses. I would miss terribly the staff at the local Chase. I love them like family. I would love to see Chase go. I would love to see them working for a regional bank. I would like to see the big banks take a licking for what they did here. And I would like to see not another damn bailout for them. I think that those things, the fact that it has never been more obviously a rigged game, really wrecks me. Because I spend every day as a small business owner trying to build my business and build my reputation. And I tell my 3 kids that honesty and honest work ethic will take you where you need to go in life, and that anything is possible with the effort and the time. And it's not true, is it? It's just not, that's not true what I'm telling them. I still do it because I want to be a good role model to my kids, but it's not true. Small businesses have been destroyed in the United States, and they have been destroyed by COVID-19 and a botched federal rollout of bailouts and SBA loans, and they have been destroyed by the big banking industry. And I can say that I personally will remember that at every ballot box, at every election, for the rest of my life. And I think my kids, they will too.
So it's hard for me to even respond to that, because I'm like having a very emotional response, because there's a couple of things that, no, it's okay. Knowing first and foremost that Hastings-on-Hudson was full, fully rental out. So many amazing small local businesses there that are so wonderful. And I can't even, I literally cry every time I read about someone else filing for bankruptcy because it breaks my heart. For those people at home who are listening to this, might be hearing this, might be recognizing that this is an issue for the first time, what action item can you tell them to do or recommend to help small business owners right now? Because there's going to be a lot to come, but right now, how can
I would say it never hurts to write to tweet at, to call every representative that shows up on your ballot. I would start there, and I would never stop there. I would make sure that your voices are heard every day. Hastings is a really active town. I love it. This is the town that writes postcards to like voters in South Carolina during presidential elections. Hastings is currently #1 in New York State in response rate on the 2020 census. If you haven't filled out your census, go do that. It is so very important. We are very active in that way, but we're less active about business issues. About financial issues. We focus more on elections for other reasons. It would really be nice to see other action be taken. And then just honestly frequent your local small businesses any way you can. And if you can't, because so many people can't, because so many people are out of work, go give them a review on Yelp.
Positive.
Yes, positive. Yeah, positive. Don't give them a mediocre review on Yelp. Go give them a review on Yelp. Go give them a review on TripAdvisor. Go give them a review on Google. Go give them a review on whatever it is. I don't know where else. You can review places. I can't keep up. Those things actually, when I wake up in the morning and somebody's done that, it's easier to go downstairs, get dressed, and make a pot of coffee. Like it is. It makes me keep going. Somebody says something nice to me, like, particularly in the food industry, you make something, you give something to somebody, and then you're like desperately hoping that they love it, right? It's fuel for you. If you know that your business is cared for and valued, you will do everything in your power to keep going.
Yeah.
Right now, you want your small businesses to keep going. Hastings needs our downtown. We need our downtown full because these downtown businesses, what do we contribute to? The tax base. And where does that money go? The schools. And we all know that there are going to be massive education cuts coming across the board. So if we save small town America, our education system can be in better shape. Mm-hmm. Those things are so important. And I don't think that people quite realize how very intertwined that all is. So I would, if there was one thing, take away, speak often, early and often. Make your voice heard with your local representatives, whoever they may be.
If you love living in Hastings, in any town in Westchester where our towns are supported by small business owners, you have to take action. Because unless you want to see chains and big business take over Main Street, that's where we're headed.
Right. Exactly.
And I will tell you, just so you know as well, that I am packaging all of these videos on YouTube, and I am literally going to be tweeting them out to all of our representatives. They are going to be in letters, because it's not just my voice that needs to be heard and your voice that needs to be heard. It's our collective voice that needs to be heard. They need to know what's happening on the ground. Ellen, I thank you as always so much for being so informative and just so honest. Thank you.
Thank you for talking to me. You keep me sane.
You keep me sane. That's it for today's show. In the meantime, I hope you stay safe and live life deliciously.